Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the LCO. It's 2022. We got another huge year coming right up. We got new players. We got a new bloody org in the mix. We got a whole bunch of old players coming back as well. Some legends who you haven't seen for a while here in Oceania. And it's just going to be so much fun, so much action. And I'm not the only one bringing you all the action. We have some old heads still here on the broadcast. So let's bring the boys in, the casters, the analysts, whatever you want to be for the day. We got Skimmy, we got Rusty. Skimmy, how you feeling?
Oh man, I'm so excited for this one. It's been such a long time. Like, I've got all this energy to give, but it was just put in a little basket, you know, tucked away for about 5 months, and now it's all coming out again. I'm getting into the mode of things. I'm looking at Rusty and saying, swole as ever, but I'm keeping it a little bit more cash today, mate. Keeping it a little bit more cash.
Very cool, Rusty. You're looking pretty good, nice and stripy. How you feeling up there? It's pretty hot up there, right?
Yeah, thanks. I'm wearing my Mac colours. I thought you'd appreciate this. There's no Wednesday broadcast, so I'll bring it out on Mondays for you. No, I'm good. It has been so long, I'm not going to lie, I've been bored. It's just, with no competitive League of Legends for, what, 5 months? There's just actually nothing to do, man. So I'm glad we're back and, you know, we're back in action.
We definitely are back now. It's not only new players, it's a couple of new things as well. We do have Menulog as the new partner, the presenting partner for the LCO at the moment. So we're going to see a whole lot of action. They can bring us some fun throughout the split. Now, speaking of the split, what is the format going to be? Well, let's delve into that, have a quick look at what's going on. It's going to be the triple round robin, all best of one matches for the regular season. It's the same as Split 2 from last year. So there's nothing too new coming along there. Of course, the new org we were talking about, you can see them up there. Kanga has acquired Legacy's spot from last year, so they will be the new org jumping into the equation. Of course, top 5 teams from the regular season are going to qualify for the playoffs. Bottom 3 teams are eliminated from Split 1. And the playoffs, of course, are going to be a double elimination bracket. So the same as the playoffs for the last 2 splits as well. Best of 5 matches for those, so a whole lot of action once we do get to the playoffs. And the first seed for the regular season qualifies into round 2. So they're going to miss that first week of games. Split 1 champion also qualifies for MSI for 2022, which of course is the mid-seasonal invitational. And Rusty, if team makes it there, they have a huge amount of exposure they could grab, right?
I mean, that's exactly what everyone's after, right? To make it to the mid-season invitational, to show Oceania, to show off for Oceania, rather, against some of the best teams in the world. Along with Worlds, of course, Split 2 will be able to take you there. So a lot on the line for a lot of these teams and a lot of new faces for these teams to try and get there.
Very much so. Now, of course, it's not just the glory that they are going to be playing for. They're playing for a prize pool as well. Whole lot of cash on the line, all in the US dollars. So I believe, Rusty, you even did the calculations for these ones, didn't you?
I actually did it the other day, and I just checked again for you, Mac, and it's gone up 400. So we're at $20,957.70 in Australia.
There you go. Not too bad at all. So first place going to be taken home much more in Australia than in US dollars with the 15,000 US dollars. Second place, 10,000, and third place, 5,000, as you can see on your screen. Skimmy, what would you do with $5,000 if I gave it to you right now?
Probably invest it all in Bitcoin 20 years ago and realized I've made a terrible mistake not getting ahead of the curve.
Well, I'm glad that you have a time machine to take us back in time and make that one happen. Now, of course, it's not just about the money, it's about the players. So there has been a whole lot of changes. We've got a lot of players leaving our scene, leaving the LCO that we did get to see last year, a whole lot of those champions. But then we also have some coming back. So, Rusty, do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's super exciting to look at all of the players that are joining us, but there is a couple of players I think that we wanted to highlight first, Mac, that have unfortunately left us, and most of those are in Pentanet.gg. Claire was another one that came to mind to me today. You've even got Gunkrab, so a couple of direwolves have disappeared to go overseas. And the biggest one for me that I was always going to talk about, close to my heart, of course, and no doubt you guys, is Juves. We've lost Juves this year. Yeah. He's over doing big things in North America. Oh, good on him. No, but we will miss him a lot as he's over there doing actually good things.
Yeah, he's definitely gone on to greener pastures. So I think I saw him in chat as well. So big shout out to Jubes. He's, you know, holding the flag high over in NA. And of course, we've lost Violet as well, Skimmy.
Yeah, we have. Big blow to the scene. You want to be selfish for a second and say you want to retain that kind of talent, but when you're that good, when you've had that sort of development, you've been scouted out all the way back in Spawn Queue, you've had that sort of development with Gunkrab and just really gone into the spotlight and said, I am the AD carry, I am the next coming of, you know, prodigies, if you will. So really excited to see what he can do overseas, and yeah, wishing him the best of luck.
Funnily enough, he may have a prodigy himself that he's left back here in Australia. But we'll talk about that in a little bit. Of course, we do have returning players with a whole lot of international experience. So, Rusty, take us through some of these big names.
Certainly, I can go you through the list real fast if you'd like. You've got Rays from the LCS, Corporal from the LJL, Rogue from the LFL over in France, Topoon, TN from LCS Academy, Arthur from the LCK, who was formerly known as Miru here in Oceania, and Balkan and Yuri, I believe, as well, from the CB LOL, but Balkan returning, of course, this time around. A lot of exciting names, a lot of experience and exposure to big infrastructures overseas, so plenty of reasons to be excited for every single one.
And that's going to lift up the league, lift up all that experience as well, Skimmy.
Yeah, it's just so crazy to me, right? Because we keep seeing this sort of idea of, okay, there's an exodus, right? You're playing to get exposure at these big tournaments. You're thinking we're going to keep getting weaker and weaker and weaker. And then somehow, some way, players come back. They say, you know what, we actually prefer it down under. Other players go overseas and give us more exposure. It's kind of just this back and forth. And this season, the second season of the LCO, which is quite exciting, is stronger than ever. It's just crazy.
Yeah, it's going to be a damn good year here on the LCO, and we have some newcomers as well. 15 rookies to be exact, but we've handpicked 3 that we want to highlight here, Rusty. Do you want to take us through these?
Yeah, so the main reason that we're looking at Lemus and Bulldog to kick this off is because they were found through LCO. Now, Ayla is an Oceanic player who is competing overseas in America right now, doing big things, trying to make some waves in the LCS in the main starting roster himself. He came back to Oceania during the break and started running some tournaments, right, locally. And these are 2 big names that were selected for teams and competed in that LCO. So they're definitely 2 players that I personally will have my eyes on as rookies go compared to the rest of the rookies. And there's a lot of them this year in the LCO.
And Skimmy, you know Zoranus down to a T, right? You used to watch him back in the day?
Yeah, actually, back when myself and Jules did the OCS, the Challenger Circuit for Liga NOS, he played for the Die Cups at our academy team. He was a very proficient top lane player. Actually had a few games on the Poppy as well, so if you get excited about a champion that's sort of coming slowly back into the fold of things, and that's quite exciting. But I've seen him spamming out the games of Graves in the solo queue, so no doubt going to be looking to say, hey, look, I had the perfect split back in OCS. Maybe I can try and bring some of that luck into the main roster.
Okay, bring a bit of fun back here into the LCO, something different, bit of change of scenery. And it's not just about the rookie players. We need to talk about the teams now. So there are a bunch of changes to a bunch of teams. There's like this conversation about like a top 3, but Rusty, I'm pretty sure there's one team that stands out in particular above the rest, right?
Ooh, it's hard to say, and I think it also depends who you ask, Max. So
Yeah,
I
true.
would say yes. You're looking at probably Chiefs being a super team, if we're going to say which team stands out above the rest. But I will speak for myself when I say this, and we'll talk about this as they play today, but Balkan being back in Pentanet.gg, that guy has single-handedly given me nightmares with how good he actually is in the jungle role, because I was a head coach at the first split that he had in Oceania, and he was an absolute terror. He was a demon running around in the jungle, so I'm terrified of what he's going to provide.
There you go. So they're the teams to, I guess, that are coming in as the favourites, but the top teams from last split, they're back as well, but they both have slightly different lineups, Skinny.
Yeah, they do. You'd be looking at Peace and saying, okay, can they retain their title? Can they look to try and run things back again? And a part of you would say yes, because they got those 3 core members, which had a bit of a showing last split when the roster got changed around, but that acquired synergy, that sort of the idea of that we're familiar. Whilst you talk about some teams being super teams, maybe they have a bit of a honeymoon phase, maybe it doesn't work, maybe it takes a bit of time to ramp up. I think Peace have certainly retained strength in the top and the bot lane where they lost, as well as Pentanet saying we want to take back that trophy. Those were the 2 big teams all of 2021, and they're going to have a lot of teams, as Rusty mentioned, biting at the heel.
And you know, new year means it's a new damn patch as well. New bloody Drakes, new items, new runes, new lots of things. But let's have a look at the Drakes, which are a pretty big change because we got 2 new rips to play on as well, don't we, Rusty?
Yes, we do. We have the Hextech Drake and the Chemtech Drake, both changing the map completely. One of them giving Hex Gates, as you can see, the other one giving Gas Zones back, which is a pretty big deal in terms of being able to win more with a lead that you have, because it's very difficult to play around if you're a losing team. It provides camouflage to everyone in it. I will say that Chemtech Drake has been notoriously overpowered, as was the Hextech Drake, right? Both have been nerfed since their inclusion into League of Legends, But I do think that on an individual level, the Drake itself before Sol, Chemtech is bonkers. It's actually so insane what it can provide for an individual on a team and their DPS out.
Yeah, and I'm very keen to see if we get one of these in the first week or even just the first day of games here on the LCO. But it's not just the Drakes that have changed. You know, a couple of those summoner spells have changed as well. You do have the teleport, which is now the Unleashed teleport after the 14-minute mark, right, Skimmy?
Yeah, it's kind of exciting. Well, maybe not for a top laner. Maybe they hate their life right now. But certainly for the bot lane, they're going to be quite happy about this one, not having a four-man party in the bot lane very early on into the game. So, yeah, as it stands, you're going to be very much more lane-focused, probably using that teleport just before the 40-minute mark comes around to try and get a bit excited, perhaps around that Herald, if anything at this stage with that cooldown.
Yeah.
Does get significantly buffed as you unleash it. Far shorter cooldown, which I believe if we ran the math correctly, you probably previous seasons only be getting that kind of a cooldown reduction by, what, level 14, 15?
I think it was like 390 seconds to 210, so, and that was scaling like 1 to 18, so it was like roughly level 16 where it was around this level. And you're right, I think it's like 8-minute teleports are optimal because you want to make sure your next teleport is unleashed just because the cooldown goes down so much. Teleporting at 13 minutes and 50 seconds, you may as well put on a wig and a clown nose because it's pretty rough. So top laners may be greedy with it.
I'll get my stopwatch out and make sure we have no clowns here in the LCO. I'm sure it's going to be a whole lot of fun for those ADCs who don't have to worry about getting TP'd on from behind, at least for the initial parts of the laning phase. But of course, there are a few new runes here as well, or a change to one of them in particular. That's the rework of the Glacial Augment, and the new rune being First Strike, Skimmy.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. First Strike, when it first came onto the PvE, people were thinking, hang on a minute, what does this actually mean? What could we do with this? How can we abuse it? And I first already saw it being used quite proficiently by Jace's, you know, the full combo from afar, then comes in for the melee one-shot, and it's just so much gold, so much so that sometimes games are ending where you've got an extra 2k gold just out of superior laning mechanics. As you can see there, a few other champions that we've seen so far, Corki, Ezreal, Victor, if that's their preference, they can play towards it. But it's much more for the late game. Maybe you can eke out a little advantage during the laning phase, but come late when these champions can be very impressive with their poke, that's when it really shines. And as you see also the Glacial Augment, a bit of a change, acts as a bit of a mini exhaust, if you will, when those sprays come out. Has been a bit of a hot topic for these engaged supports like Nautilus, Fresh, Leona. Is it Aftershock like the old days for the tankiness, or is it more for this engage follow-up potential?
Well, Rusty, I know you're a bit of a support fiend, so have you been rocking this Glacial Augment at all in those pugs you've been playing?
Yeah, it's kind of... I really like the inclusion of Glacial Augment as a rune. I actually think for supports, it's in a really healthy and good state because you can currently choose between Glacial Augment, Guardian, or go for the Aftershock, right? So now you've actually got 3 choices where it felt like last year if it wasn't Guardian, it was an Aftershock, or you're probably a bit of a clown again. So I like this. And I also like that what it actually does is reduce damage to your allies, excluding yourself. So choosing to be an engaged champion, generally a tank, like a Nautilus, not having Aftershock usually means that Nautilus is just dead. So the whole landscape of competitive with Glacial in mind changes team fights completely.
Well, I guess we'll see how this one changes it once we do jump into the games. But Skimmy, before we jump in, you want to talk about the hyper carry bot lane.
Yes, I absolutely love hyper carries in the bot lane. I find it so exciting. Maybe some people don't when you see a Caitlyn. It might be a little bit too Resident Sleeper because you lock in the Caitlyn, you pair that with any kind of enchanter. It could be Karma, it could be Lux, could be Morgana. They're just going to shove in a wave, look to try and hit the early game spike by getting all those turret plates ASAP, bullying you out of lane with all that oppressive poke, especially the headshots for the critical strikes too. And looking to try and skim past that weird mid-game phase where they can, you know, slightly fall off and just be super, super strong, but also the Aphelios and the Jinx right now. Perhaps the Arcane Netflix hit success, a bit of a cheeky buff in that regard, who knows, maybe. But those two champions right now in particular, they pump out big, big damage and can certainly power spike very quickly with some of the items. Speaking of those items, Gale Force for me, we talk about mobility. Obviously, it's not a free flash, but it's very nice with the repositioning in a game that's having more champions with dashes. So these champions that don't have any sort of those mobility factors built in, it's quite nice for them. Obviously great for finishing kills. How many times have you seen a Jen go for the full shot and a dash afterwards and, you know, your whole health bar's just disappeared. Just, yeah, fantastic in general. And as you can see, the bot lane nerf, well, I should say the teleport nerf, fantastic for them. They can shove in a wave, not feel as pressured that a deep ward is going to flank them from behind. So, hyper carries get a bit of a free pass, Rusty.
It's funny that like these three things we highlight are almost just like three of like 50 different changes in the offseason that have kind of enabled those hyper carries to exist, right? Like your shield bow nerfs, the enchanter supports that weren't on that list, like you highlighted as well. So there is a crazy amount of things that have happened in the offseason. Lethal Tempo, the biggest of all, that's kind of brought these champions to the forefront. And where there is a jinx that you can't hit, there has to be a hard engaged tank or a longer range champion. So like the meta, competitively speaking, starts to shift as
even, you know, you can see in the other leagues that have been already played out, the meta shift going on, the change in the champs, the picks and the bans, and how everyone's trying to do a couple of crazy things in those initial weeks, but then the meta's really getting refined as everything's getting played out. Speaking of the meta, I want to see what the meta is for you guys at home. How are you watching the first day of the LCO? Please, there's going to be a post up there, or just at LCO on Twitter. Send in your pictures of how you are watching LCO for the first day back for 2022, because I'm interested. We want to get you on the broadcast. We want to look at your content, see what your cat's doing, your dog's doing, where your feet are kicking it, how bloody upside down you are. I don't know. I'm trying to give you some ideas of what you're even eating for dinner that you've ordered on Menulog for the first day back. But look, let's have a look at what games are going to be played on the first day of 2022. So, here we go. 6 p.m. is when the first game is going to be played. It's Mammoth up against Peace, and there's been some select words said over the weekend on Twitter, so I can't wait to see what happens to that matchup. 7 p.m. Gravitas up against Direwolves. 8 p.m. Order with the rebrand there, and the Chiefs going head-to-head, and then Pentanet and Kanga to round out the night at 9 p.m. So, there is one game here that sticks out to me as probably the closest game of the night. Rusty, do you want to tell me which game that is?
Oh, could it possibly be Order versus the Chiefs, Mac? That
yes.
might be the closest game.
On the money.
Oh, how did we get that one? It is definitely a match to look for. If I was going to pick one from the day as well, I'd be right there with you. These are two of the teams that I think we all put in the top 3, except for maybe Kitty, who put Peace, just from the top of my head. So
yeah, I think so.
This is definitely, you know, like a, let's say, week 1 of a potential playoffs matchup.
I think it's going to be a damn good way to kick off the LCO, because those games that we, you know, on paper think may be a bit more one-sided, it leaves there the chance that it might not be. Like, we could be in for some surprises. You never know what a bunch of these newcomers coming to the LCO are going to be able to bring to the table, Skinny.
Yeah, and for sure. I mean, I certainly look at that one because everybody's hyping up these teams as being front-run contenders. And you look at Order and go, feels a little bit criminal that we put them in third, given how strong their roster is, right? But it's just that much talent at the top of this ladder that very hard to consider who could be, you know, the go-to. I'm personally really excited for the final game tonight. Pentanet taking on Kanga. I think Pentanet have shown that they aren't messing around with their investment, bringing in some of these Korean imports once again. They want to showcase that, hey, we're taking it back. We are the team to watch. But, you know, Kanga, you look at them and you think they've got a lot of veteran players that know the game inside out. Having heard the whispers from Pentanet, they haven't had a chance to scrim. Maybe Kanga have a little bit of a chance to try and upset the apple cart very early on. So those final 2 games, man, who knows?
Yeah, so a couple of people coming fresh into Australia and not having too much time to prac could definitely change something up a little bit there. But look, we've got to jump on into the first matchup, so let's talk Mammoth first. Rusty, take me through the lineup they're bringing into the game tonight and tell me who they are and why they're going to have a chance.
So in top lane, you've got Tron the Pom, Mayfun, Jungle, Refury in the mid lane, Voice AD Carry, and Rocco, 521, now known just as Rocco because it's his name, as the starting support with a powerful haircut, I might say. That's completely taken me aback, and I'm not looking at anything else. How are they going to win, Mac? That's how. Unleash. Because we've lost Incursio, haven't we? So now we've got a new power cut in the league. That's what matters. We've stayed consistent.
Incursio was
He's in Pentanet. He's a sub, though.
Sub for Pentanet. Yeah, him and Wino got picked up just in case the other boys didn't get into Australia, right? I remember hearing that on the podcast yesterday. Now, we've got to talk about the second team that's going to be here in the first matchup of the LCO for 2022, and it's Peace, the ones who were spitting some fire on Twitter.
Oh, they certainly are. They're taking maybe a note out of Pentanet's social media game, right? Getting a little bit spicy about it. Tien in the top lane, returning from NA. I'm really excited to see what he can do for his second stint here in OS. Lee Sunapi, that common pairing, they've been together for, I think this is now their 4th year. starting back in Challenger Circuit in 2019. So that's going to be a very exciting pairing for them. Appy making his third role swap in as many years, but he did start off as a mid laner, so it shouldn't be too unfamiliar. Chaeyoung going to get the starting spot this time around. Had a bit of fun in the sun. Not too much to talk about in those 3 games he played, but very excited to see his growth throughout this split. And he's been paired with a very solid support in Beats, who was incredible on order, really good at roaming, great map sense, and had some creative picks at the end of the day there, Mac.
Yeah, now a nice little talking point here, a bit of a storyline for both of these teams is they both are ex-champions of the LCO and the OPL, aren't they, Rusty?
True, yeah, they definitely are. From very different timelines, you might say. If you look back to the past, there was a Mammoth lineup that was undeniably one of the best player organizations and groupings of 5 that we've ever seen put together as 5. They won, I think it was 2019 Split 2 and had the opportunity to go to Worlds. Peace, much more recent, of course, being literally last year.
Yeah, last split of last year, getting to go to Worlds and doing a pretty good job. I hope we get to see a team do as well as both the teams that got out of Australia last year do it again this year, because you know, new year and just progress. That's what we're looking for here in the LCO. And with all this extra experience coming into all the lineups, you never know what we're going to get. Now, this first one, I'm thinking, oh, okay, maybe it seems on paper that it is very one-sided, but Mammoth having the sort of unknowns of a lot of these players coming in. Like, Rusty, can you tell me much about Mammoth and what you expect they're going to be able to bring?
Yeah, so before I cut myself off with the haircut.
Yeah.
Mammoth are a squad that have actually played together for an exceptionally long amount of time, bar Refury, who I believe is the newest addition to the team. 4 of the 5 players came from an amateur tournament that they were competing against me in. They were beating me, to be clear. And they also had played for an entire year, I believe, prior. So this is a squad that's come to the LCO as 5. So I would say if ever there was a time for what we have said is either 7th or 8th in the power rankings, Mac, to actually come in and cause a scene, it probably would be week 1 of the LCO, where they've been playing together for 2 years and their opponents have not.
Well, look, Mammoth, they've got a bit of a new lineup. I heard that we've got a bit of a new lineup here on the LCO as well, and we have a fresh face. Kitty, welcome to the LCO. We are bringing Kitty in. She is the new sideline reporter. Kitty, how are you feeling today?
Hi everyone. You guys may know me as Kitty or Kitwee, and I'm the new reporter for LCO Split 1. Thanks for having me, Mac.
Hi. I think you might be muted.
Oh no. That's so awkward.
Oh, we can hear it.
Oh,
we do it
we're back,
live.
we're back.
We're doing it live. It doesn't matter.
Okay,
It doesn't matter.
it's okay. It's okay,
Wait,
guys.
blame
I'll say it
production.
again. It's okay. Hey
Oh,
guys, I'm
go.
Kitty. You guys also may know me as Kitwee, and I'm the new reporter for LCO Split 1. Thank you for having me, Mac.
No worries, and I'm glad we got that out of the way. You started strong, so it's only up from here. Who do you have for the first interview, Kitty?
So, for the first interview, we have Tian from Peace and Refury from Mammoth. Hello, welcome to Split 1 of LCO. Hello. So start off with Tian. Welcome back to OCE. So you've been playing with CLG for 1 year. So what's the difference between OC and NA?
I think the biggest difference from OC and NA is in OCE, I think it actually is League of Legends or die. When I was playing in NA, there was a lot of like, let's just say less desperation. I feel like there's a lot of fallbacks. Like you can play in collegiate, you can do like, I feel like esports is a real career in OCE. Yeah, I think everyone is like kind of playing for their lives, and I kind of like that.
Well, you've joined Peace this year. What's your main goal with Peace for 2022?
I think anyone that wants to play in OCE should expect themselves to win, and I'm here to prove that I'm still the best.
That's very confident, Romeo, and I believe in you. So heading off to Refury, sorry. Welcome to LCO. It's your first competitive game. So let's start off with a self-introduction. What's your favorite champion?
Hey, Refury. My favorite champion would probably be Viger, honestly. Love that champion. So fun.
Big, a very niche pick. As a rookie, what goals do you have set for this split?
I mean, being the fellas, rookies, we're new to the scene, so no one has really great expectations from us. we're just gonna like try our best, get in there, you know, booger booger it up.
Yeah, best of luck and have fun. Most importantly, just have fun. And that's all the time we have for now, so thank you for joining us and good luck in your match. Let's head back to Mac.
Thank you.
Great to hear from the boys there. And look, no expectations for Mammoth, so they have nothing to lose. That's always a great mindset to have, especially going into your first couple of days.
That was the funniest thing back, I have to say, was when Refury said he likes Veigar as his favorite champion. Tien's face, I don't know if you saw it.
Yeah,
I saw it.
he
You
was
were
disgusted.
disgusted. It's like, oh, you did not just say that. Oh my god, it's so good.
Yeah, well, hopefully, I'm not sure if we're going to see it, but if we do, I'm sure it's going to turn a lot of heads and draw a lot of attention to the region for one reason or another. Now, of course, we've got to start to talk about which way this one's going to go and what we think is going to happen here in the first game of the year. So let's bring up the predictions, and I'm just going to go out there and say I am on the hype train for Peace. I think that they are definitely going to be bringing it. And look, we're all even for the moment. We're all even, 0-0, so it all starts here, Skimmy.
Yeah, it does. Just about to laugh at Twitch chat because they could hear it, but we couldn't. So we've also been debated. That's what I'm finding out here on the fly, live. But I'm going to bring my head back over here and say, why do I think that P should win this? Well, I like Dragons. It's the Lunar New Year. We're getting all thematic about it. Dragons are good. They're not extinct compared to woolly mammoths. I don't know where I'm going. Save me, Rusty.
But they're not real.
Well, Komodo dragons exist.
Oh, okay,
They're real up
okay,
here,
so-
mate. That's all that matters. Your imagination.
Righto, dude. Right. I'll give a real reason then. How about that? I honestly think there is. So I was talking to Mammoth staff before this game, and I learned that Tron the Pom is more of a role player in terms of how he plays and drafts in Mammoth's squad. Tien is a carry player. He'll play Riven. He'll win lane, and I don't see any world where Tron's going to survive that one. I do think that Tien is going to absolutely gap them just quietly.
Okay. What about you, Kitty?
Well, I've been playing some solo queue and I've been getting owned by Chemtech Soul, so that's why I'm picking Dragon, because Dragon Soul is OP this patch.
Yes.
There you go. So pretty solid reasoning, and we're all on the same bandwagon. So no matter if we win or lose, we're all going to be 1-0 after today. So interesting. Now, you did mention that there could be some Riven getting thrown in. Do you think we're going to see that in this first match?
Honestly, it's possible. I don't think it's something that Tien stopped playing when he was over in North America, right? He's been a walking highlight reel since his beginnings. I believe he was playing behind Swiper on the Chiefs way back when. And he's continued to play those carries. It was the main point that separated him from the Armored Titan in Swiper and why they were playing him originally. So definitely excited to see him continue to play those, I hope. And a cheeky look into his stream yesterday, Mackie was playing Victor top lane. So definitely on that carry bandwagon.
Okay, so they're really just trying to make that top lane be sort of like the home to the carry for the team. That's where they're going to be winning it through, more the top lane. Bit of jungle. What do you reckon?
I mean, the thing about Peace is they're all flexible in how they play, right?
Yeah.
Like Lisa can absolutely be a facilitator if it's required. I mean, they played with Violet for a year, man. So like they know exactly how to let someone else carry. And I don't know if they've had to do that through top lane much though. So maybe that's the challenge. Maybe Lisa does say it's my turn to shine.
Okay, well, I guess we'll see if that one happens because, ladies and gentlemen, the game is ready. It is time for picks in the bands.
Oh, I'm so excited, Mac. Throw us into this game. Give me some drafting to talk about. I want to see what these people are playing. I want to shake it around like this and get excited about it. I want to make things awkward for you there, Rusty. I'm so keen for this one.
You're so good at that.
Oh,
Making it
dear.
awkward.
It's been such a long time, hasn't it? I mean, somebody has to be the cringe one. we got to get it out there.
Well, look, Juves is gone, Skippy.
Yeah,
Someone's got to fill the role.
I've absorbed his spirit, so we keep a part of Juves here. Maybe I can't do as good a job of wrapping up the play of the day, but who can?
True. Actually, that is maybe the saddest thing since losing him. We've also not got Nat on this split, right? So who's going to actually do our play of the day? It's not me.
Maybe
My
Kitty's
hands
got
down.
a life after sideline reporting.
Maybe.
Who knows? Who knows? Well, we'll figure out when this draft is going to start. As it stands, it's just our two handsome faces, which is quite nice for you. But I suppose kind of what Mac was alluding to before about where you're looking. Just to quickly touch on that Riven point as well. Do you remember back in OPL, 2020, when he played the full crit strike Riven, the Infinity Edge, just bust that one out there real casually and said, you know what? It's an AD carry. Who cares? Why not?
Yeah, I do recall that. I know that Tien loves a good carry. I know that we're currently in picks and bans finally now as well, Skimmy. We're already 5 bans into this one, so let's kick it off.
Beauty.
And I will say that First Strike was a rune we spoke about. 2 of the prolific First Strike users gone.
Gone out of the action nice and early. Mammoth going to go for blue side, so they got first pick prior here. A bit of an emphasis on some of these strong champions, as you can see right out the gates. The fact that the Corki's taken away, this new AP build that you've seen around the world of just supreme burst. Caitlyn obviously the most banned champion right now for unmentioned reasons, but Akali, now we are on 12.1.
Yeah.
This is when that Chem Tank Akali build does work, so.
Exactly.
Maybe.
Exactly. I mean, we might get it. We might get the tank Akali. It's something that you'll have to keep your eyes on as we see the rest of the draft play out. You would expect it going towards top, but we have seen it, I think, a little bit in mid as well. Just looking at the bans that have come across here. Also, Yumi's going to be taken off the board. If there's one thing I did learn about Rocco, it's that he climbed
Yes.
with Braum and Yumi. And that is just, it's chef's kiss. That's such a good ban. Please never let him get it if he's a Yumi enthusiast. Personal bias in mind with that.
And that's exciting for me because you look at his stats for last year. It was Braum 300 games, Yumi 200. Then it drops off a cliff, right? Lulu at 28. So they're basically saying, hey, you're playing something aggressive. It's not going to be this Braum. Then what might it be? Could be quite nice there with the short range of the Samira. But go for the Nautilus instead. So definitely a kill lane to try and get in the face of this Aphelios.
Yeah, absolutely. So Samira usually paired with something like the Nautilus, the Leona, something that's going to be super aggressive and not allow the Enchanter support that Beats is going to be playing in the Lulu to be comfortable. The Aphelios, it's a champion that you normally see with just Thresh, right? If you think back to last year and competitive League of Legends in general, they tend to be a pairing. But if you actually look at, the LCK, the LPL, the 2 major regions that I'd be looking at pick bans from personally, you've seen Aphelios with everything right now. So a lot of teams are just valuing what he brings to the table. And I do think that, lethal tempo for one potentially, if you can get away with it, helps what is a shorter range, slightly 80 carry, particularly with some weapons, to get away with a lot more in team fight.
Yeah, right. Depending on obviously that weapon setup, how much they can get done in this lane, and if they are going to be looking to try and roam or just assert their dominance in the laning phase as a whole. But going to the second part of these bans, the Viego's now going to be taken away to try and prevent this, one-bow combo reset nation, if you will. Lee Sin now for the denial of any kind of kickback displacement that we have seen be so prolific in Lisa's career as a jungler. You start to wonder, will we get a Veigar ban? Are P scared?
I'm not too sure where they're going to go here. So my thoughts, right, if I see a Renekton locked in first 3 for Peace, is that they're potentially looking for the Nidalee Diana style junglers, which means they're the ones more playing towards like an AD mid laner type of composition. So I think with the Akali locked in there, Veigar are going to be a little bit less likely. I wouldn't see too much of a comp from them, particularly when their goal at the moment is to run into a Lulu and Aphelios to take them down, as they already have diving champions. I think Veigar would just be kind of left to die perpetually. So maybe either a longer range, more self-sufficient mage, or they put that Akali mid, right, and have a winning top lane.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it would be a bit of negative synergy as you talk about people going in and others going out. Xin Zhao now going to be removed, the second of these AD bans in the meta, which is very much so jump in, cause some chaos, soak up some skill shots, especially with the Crescent Guard, and get out scot-free. Let's see what Peace now decide to go for. Having already locked in this Renekton, big questions, I suppose, as to what Appy's signature is going to be here as a mid laner. I had a bit of a sort of idea of what I saw him play in the past, but it's about 3 years ago, right? The likes of Irelia, Lissandra, LeBlanc. So some of these champions are meta, some aren't.
Well,
is he going to want to make himself mechanically demanding or just chill on lane?
How about he's the Renekton, right?
There you go.
Appy plays Renekton mid lane, and the next thing that I was going to talk about, I'm glad this was locked in at that exact moment, is that you ban Lee Sin, you ban Xin Zhao, you actually ban Viego on Peace side as well. Jarvan's really the last left jungler standing. My point of contention here with this draft for Mammoth is they did ban physical junglers away from what felt like it was just going to be a Nidalee angle regardless.
Sure.
But Mammoth pick a comp for themselves, right? They've gone the team fight route. It makes sense as what they're probably most comfortable with overall. Again, remember, they're a team of 5 that have joined, or team of 4 that have joined the LCO together. So team fighting is probably their area of expertise.
For sure, and if anything, you probably want to see a simple front-to-back comp that says, we're going in, here's my clear initiation. And I suppose you really do get that, especially those last 3, they're engaged champions from Mammoth, and the wombo combo that a Cataclysm and a Hero's Entrance can offer you. Peace now going to go for a bit of split push in their final pick here, the Gangplank. A champion that you don't see everybody too proficient with, but certainly can abuse a winning lane state. Extra gold, global tempo, circumventing the fact that you can't TP.
Yeah, so this Gangplank pick, I really like it. It's free scaling for top lane, right, into what is, I think, an Akali. It's going to be pretty rough early. And so with that in mind, you know, starting to scale up, starting to get strong, Akali gives a couple of levels of agency of freedom to someone like a Gangplank to scale up. Now, what this does mean is that if they swap champions, that ultimately it will be more mid-centric play from Peace, right? You're Nidalee Renekton playing through mid lane, and Gangplank's more notoriously known as like a weak side type of top lane champion. Can be played towards 100%, but often can be so self-sufficient, has the W, is really difficult to dive, and can also use the Cannon Barrage to either assist teams or clear waves if they're playing towards him. Just opens up a lot of utility for the side of Peace to play towards Chaeyoung through Lisa.
I suppose that brings the elegance of what these two different team comps are trying to achieve, right? You talk about Mammoth, very clear initiation. Whoever goes in, apart from the Samira, unless the Samira wants to try and be the 1v5 MLG superstar, is basically saying, that's the hook, that's the play, that's the go switch. Whereas Peace is saying, we can force those team fights. We've got the tried and true combo of the Renekton and Nidalee to work around. We can split push if we want to go and utilize this GP to our best extent, but you've always got that backup, that insurance policy, if you will, of a Lulu Aphelios to do 1v9, 200-year shenanigans.
So the big thing for me, Skimmy, if we were to build a case for Mammoth's side of the fence here, not a lot actually stops Samira from using her ultimate, right? If you actually look down the list of Peace's composition, you've got a Renekton stun, you've got a Lulu W, and ultimate potentially. The Lulu ult's probably going to have to be saved for that. But if you are saving Lulu ult for that, you've also got a Jarvan, Galio, and an Akali running you down to deal with. So I quite like how Mammoth's composition kind of operates into the side of Peace, given that there's no Thresh Lantern for the Aphelios, and that their top laner is immobile as a champion as well. Jarvan can actually pay dividends.
So he can, and it's going to be an exciting time to see how these two teams play to those strengths, understand those win conditions, and get their very first game under wraps to kick off the LCO 2022. I could not be more excited for Mammoth to be on the left side, Peace to be in the right, and for us to kick things off here, as I do believe we actually have our very first coaching interview of the year, which is quite exciting, because it's a new coach as well. Welcome, Ash.
Hello, hello. How are you guys doing today?
Very well, mate. Very well. Quick question. We'll keep it nice and short this time to try and prevent ourselves missing out on any first blood. So I'll ask you just this one simple question. You started off last year with Gravitas as the coach of their grassroots team. You're now the head coach working with Mammoth with a full rookie squad. So what would you say the focus is for the split?
For the split, it really is just bringing together team cohesion at the moment and kind of finding our footing and like where we are, you know, in comparison with the rest of the LCO. Once we figure all that out, then we'll be really ready to turn a lot of heads. I think a lot of our players are going to surprise you guys.
I've heard the whispers. I've seen it in Twitch chat as well as on the Twitter sphere with the diehard fans already. Is there anything you want to say out just to kick off this split?
I love you all.
Nice and wholesome. Hey, I appreciate your time there, Ash, and no doubt we'll be catching up throughout the season.
Yeah, no doubt. Have a good one.
Too easy. Just nice to see a positive face, a positive new face brought into the LCO there as well. Just a quick recap on the very short amount of time this split around, Skibby, that you've missed. It was just a late invade here from the Mammoth side of the fence. Nidalee is going to respond to this, right? They were waiting for the late invade. Vision was placed, and while swept, they obviously got the information they wanted. So Lisa's going to go from red to blue. Just means, you know, it's not going to be a leash clear. He's going to be doing it solo, but still gets to play towards his preferred side of the map regardless. Where on Mayfun's side of the fence here, he gets to force Nidalee to top side. It's going to be a vertical split. There's going to be no crossing through mid lane, and it is just going to be a handshake where he plays towards his Samira and maybe protects the Galio.
See, he's in the area, as you can see on your minimap right there, but big eyes, I'd have to say, on Appy to see how he can perform in this mid lane to sort of showcase that I am that versatile player that can play any role and just excel at it. As you can see from the itemization here of the Sakali, triple rejuve beads, which have some insane resale value. There has been debate as to whether or not you start with the Doran shield or this instead. Certainly, early signs would indicate that this is going to be the chem tank.
I think it actually is flexible as to the items that you start for Akali in top lane. You would imagine Gangplank's just going to harass you to no end. So while you could actually consider like a Doran shield, this will give more regeneration and less health. The break point for this, which is it's already pretty bad for top lane, I will say, Skimmy, if you look at the CSD and the fact that a Demolish was just casually whomped into the turret. It's at a Sheen purchase for Tien. It probably outdoes any kind of sustain that you'll get from triple rejuve bead. So already dire straits here for this Akali, given that it started so rough. And I would say maybe it was a Doran shield angle into Skank. Personal thought.
Yeah, a bit of frustration. I mean, he has opted to be flashless, gone for the TP and the Ignite, so certainly wants to have that kill pressure, especially once level 6 comes on through. Gonna go back to base, forced to more so than anything, and TPing back to his own turret. Picked up the Dark Seal, so if you can find that moment, receive a bit of jungle influence, or a mid lane roam perhaps for that 3-man collapse, the Dark Seal could cheat a little bit of tempo.
First look of the game here is going to be from Mayfun towards bottom lane. It's the Nautilus Samira. It's the vertical jungling that we expected regardless. And this is almost an impossible situation to hit a hook on if you are the Nautilus. So you would really need this wave. And the wave is pushing towards the Mammoth Esports Club's turret. It's the flag drag that probably kicks this off. But this will be like a long wait, you know?
I was going to say, you
gotta
asked
be
the question,
patient.
how long do you wait for this one? Because you know the wave's going to come. Looks like Peace not really aware of the threat. Rocco says, no, it's my time to shine. Flashes in, hits the passive, locks him in place. Now the hook afterwards. Instant exhaust here onto Voice, who's getting close to that S rating, but not enough damage just yet. 3-man Gravitum, and now Lisa's popping towards him. He was back off a reset. He's here to pounce and look for an execute, but they're going to block the skill shots. 2 members low now. Rocco's being left to the wolves. He's been polyed, and he's been taken down for the first blood of 2022.
And Appy also looking down here for a dive. They really want to hit this one home. It's a level 5 Renekton, but they've got the Nidalee heals and the spears to throw, and the wave is here.
That's a big wave that's about to crash. The spear is there! Oh, nice! He's blocked that, but they're both low. They're juggling the turret aggro. They've just cleaned house in the bot lane. 4 members rock up, and they showcase why they won last year's championship.
Yeah, clean dive here from the side of Peace. Good moves from Appy early in particular, right, to get himself down here from mid lane. No teleport's going to be available for anyone until it is unleashed. So just uses his feet and just waddles down and teleports back. So peak performance here coming out of mid. Lisa with great movements to protect his team as well. But at the end of the day, that was an execution thing for Mammoth that kicked it off pretty rough, where they effectively lost the 2v3, right? And it was their engage that they started. That's kind of what brought that about.
Doesn't get much better if we return to where it all started here in this top lane, as that's already 1 plate gone. Tien having a bit of a field day here, just able to poke from afar. Utilize that burn on the sword, went in close range too, and slowly chip away at this turret.
Yeah, the trial by fire really only adds insult to injury, and there's a lot of injury going on here. In top lane, that Sheen purchase that we spoke about, Skimmy, is definitely there. Real cheap now, real easy to purchase. The trade-off for that is no mana, so he won't be able to throw Qs out constantly, but we look bottom again.
We do indeed. Deep ward is defensive, it'll catch up Lisa on the path. Oh, the spear connects despite the hook going through. Redline was good, gets him out of harm's way, but he is down at 20% and ticking.
I'm a little bit sad we didn't get a replay of that dive in bottom, because there was a couple of little mechanics that were super well played by Peace's side. For example, it was Lisa using his pounce to get in front of the Nautilus hook, right? Basically would have saved him if that hook got him to the turret, but blocks it, is able to keep him there, and they do get themselves that easy first kill from it. Nevertheless, we look at bottom lane, you will continue to see Lisa walk down here, you will continue to see him pressure, because there's nowhere else really for the Jarvan to go. And as it stands, like, you really want him to go top, right? You really want Mayfun to go top and help fix the Akali lane, because it's an Ignite level 6 Akali, but bot's always at risk of being dove, right? Renekton permanent priority against this Galio. That is not a winning matchup for Galio ever. Probably not even with a kill. Pretty rough.
It certainly is. And you can see that Lisa's identified this very early on, forgetting, quite honestly, his entire side of the jungle to clear out, rather spending time in the enemy's jungle, just keeping tabs on where he's at. What are you looking to try and do? What's your next move? How are you looking to try and get your team back into this game? If anything, I can just back away, utilize all the priority we have on this map, and pick up that first Ocean Drake.
You would say it's pretty nice from Fury to be able to match farm. Tron the Pom on his side as well. He's 20 CS down, but he really was 20 CS down from like level 3. So he's been kind of able to sustain that one. I think hitting level 6, having a bit more kill threat's been pretty important for him. Just looking at what's happening right now on the map as well, Skimmy, we're 8 minutes into the game, and you'll note that the bottom lane of Peace has flipped map towards the Rift Herald. So pretty standard general macro play that you'll get from a lot of teams in competitive, right? Hit 8 minutes, look for Herald. The difference being no teleports actively useful for the objective itself. Makes it a bit harder to respond if they get tempo on you, but they're going to push top first.
Got the red and white guns, so not only is he going to absolutely demolish this minion wave, as you can see, Tron the Pom going back to base, doesn't have a teleport, and it's going to be a wave to crash. Maybe could have opted to try and shred through those turret plates a fraction more, but instead it's just going to guarantee that a 4-man strong squad of Peace can come and say, we took the Dragon, we're taking the Herald, this map, it just belongs to us.
Makes you wonder if they're going to look for the fight. I thought for a second there the Nautilus was pathing towards the Herald itself, but by the time they'd even get there, it's already gone. So easy little objective pick up there by Peace. Again, nice movement, nice map flip, knowing there's a teleport advantage and that Tron has to respond to bot lane, or they would just lose even more on their Akali. Basically cripples Mammoth into indecision, right? And they really are just left responding second to every play so far that Peace have been able to make.
That was a short, sharp lane flip, wasn't it? Because as soon as that Herald went down, they've gone back to a default formation again with the bot lane of Peace returning. Try and keep tabs on this Akali, who's now realized and seen the reveal from the GP that I need to go back up to that lane. I'm lagging behind close to 40 CS now. To just need to hit that breakpoint.
Yeah, look, 49 CS at 9 minutes in the game is a very rough start, especially for someone that's going to be building tank items, Skimmy. So yes, there's definitely still some damage that comes out of this Akali build. One of the great things about the Chem Tank is that you still do extra bonus damage to minions, monsters in an AoE. So you can still clear waves effectively, but if you're behind the mark on a carry champion, they're just going to outdamage you, and you realistically won't be tanky enough to deal with them. So I think as it stands, you have to use the Ignite gap. You have to kind of give something to this Akali, or map flips and basic macro is putting her further behind.
Lisa realizing that Hefan isn't going to give up his love for the spot lane anytime soon. Once again, he's cleared his own side of the jungle. Back here to return. Has vision, chucks at the spear. Nice fancy feet there to dodge that one out. The Oracles is going to clear things here, but Cheyenne now still has that white gun, has the sniper equipped as well. Moonlight Vigil could be fantastic, but as you say, perfect execution having to be burnt in the top lane just to try and trim this wave. As another wave's about to crash, and it's soon to be dismantled. As the Herald will be summoned and should surely crash them through for easily 2 plates.
And you'd think if Mammoth overstepped their bounds, you know, they've got the Galio hovering, he was being matched and watched by Appy. They also have the Gangplank ultimate, right? So Tron having teleport might have dissuaded a little bit of that, but if Peace keep pressure up, they force the Akali to go back top lane by Gangplank just consistently pushing. Once again, you'll find Mammoth push between a rock and a hard place and just more money going to the pockets of Peace. Just continuing, you know, this slow, methodical advance of their gold lead until a point where it's insurmountable is effectively what we're going to continue to see here. And their first major breakpoint is going to be Mythics.
Certainly is, as one has already been picked up here. It is Lisa who's gone for the rocket belt. Mobility has the zone use as well. No boots, but not going to seem to really feel too threatened by that, given the pounce form. Can keep nimble on the map in that regard. Gore Drinking as well as the Gale Force, those are to be expected here. Nice bit of sustain and the repositioning we touched on beforehand, but you start to really wonder, you know, J4 isn't one of those champions that you bank your bets on for a late game. Obviously still has that, you know, bread and butter that we talked about, that wombo combo from the drafting phase here, Rusty, but you're putting it on a bit of a knife's edge to perhaps flip for a soul or for a Baron.
Yeah, 100%. You're going to be looking for souls, you're going to be looking for barons. Even for a team like Mammoth, just as a tangent to that as well, it's the easiest objective for a team that you would almost say you'd expect to be outclassed just by their opponent's caliber individually. They'll look towards these places to fight.
If we look for that first fight, there goes down to Cannon Barrage, it's beautiful. Moonlight Vigil comes across, but it's Lisa that picks up their first kill. Galio gone, Refuel can't contribute much more for 25 seconds. They're going to force out another flash. Nathan forced to go back to his mid-tier 2, and it could not come at a worse time as the second dragon of the game spawns.
Yeah, look, mid laner dead, jungler no flash, no opportunity to get into smite this either, as they've just been pushed away by good vision. They would see if the Jarvan was coming. You may have the Scuttle Crab, but it's not going to actually allow you the agency to get into the river. Teleport going to be used bottom here, however, by, I believe, the Galio. Would still give them range, actually, for a combo. The Peace are going to show respect, once again showing that they have got class as a team. They're not going to just continue to hit things if it's a bad idea, and numbers belong to Mammoth, so they'll back away till the gangplank gets here.
Buying time, Tron the Palmer is working his way towards top side. Bear in mind, 30 seconds and the Unleashed teleport will be available to utilize on those wards to get into the area. Flash forward from Rocco, trying to find that hook. It was an isolated Aphelios. Not going to find it. He burnt the flash too.
You can see Peace are being corralled, but they're not losing anything. Hook's on.
Rocco going to split the fight once again. Rather than going bot, goes topside this time around. Has the aftershock, going to be a little bit tankier. Going to find that initial engage. Refury going to find that first kill. There's the hero's entrance. Inferno trigger is pulled, but not to much success. Peace flanking on the opposite side.
Yeah, Carly teleports in and has to run away because she does no damage. Lulu and an Aphelios are just going to dissuade her. And you'll see the Vision. Mammoth realize that. They realize there's no chance for them to get into this river. The major victory here for the side of Mammoth is the summoner spells used by Peace. If ever there was a moment to look towards your combo again, you know, use those ultimates, it will be the next time they're up while these flashes are down. And it's going to be TN probably, and Chaeyoung as the prime suspect that they'll be looking towards. However, if fights continue to happen around just the Drakes, then those cooldowns will be back. So this is a good moment to challenge Mammoth and see how they're able to generate those picks and play those objectives against. We will see this again, Skimmy, and it's Appy that they engage on. You would say never the prime target, but they're able to combo him just enough, right? Keep him locked down, make sure there's no way out for this Renekton. Nice play, nice layering of their CC, but the trade was still there.
The trade that you saw just to the bottom of your screen, where Wild Growth did actually have to be used down towards Chaeyoung to prevent the Rubber behind Akali from finding that first into this game. The return to life, and we continue to find pressure to get that first turret down. Herald has spawned, so if there ever was a time before the 20-minute mark to try and really abuse the fact that those summoners are down, you'd be looking at that top lane and say, can you form good vision control? Can you assert your self-control of the river first and foremost? And yeah, can you find that target you're after?
Correct, and the hooks are to get away.
Too green for the vision. Maybe it's a bit of a caster's curse. Rocco going to fall on down. The Cannon Barrage pretty much cuts off any form of escape plan. You could use the flash, but it was on cooldown, so it does not matter. It's going to be a 4v5 now.
Well, you're right though, Skimmy. Theory and practice are different. They're going mid.
They are certainly looking for it once again on towards the Aphelios. Can they find it? Wild Growth is there. Polymorph being used. Shield! It's not enough! Voice used his voice to scream some damage across this battlefield and take his first kill in this game. He so desperately needed it after a bit of a laning phase himself. In comes Tron the Pond, stacking up that Conqueror. But he won't conquer a kill just yet.
And so they do still find their window. The cost was high to find the initial engage, but they get what they're after, right? They're able to utilize the advantage that they have as a composition if their opponents have no summoners, and they get in before the gold lead just proves to be too great and they can just beat you with their wallets. Peace are going to look to contest this one, however.
Certainly are. That's a flash forward with the Dominus active. Abby looking to try and 1v3 right now as the Crocodile spins to get some health back. Hits the Gore Drinker too, buying time, but falling on down all the same. Once again, Mammoth come together, and this time it works as they secure the second Herald.
And a cheeky objective bounty with it on top, so you'd be happy to see that one if you are Mammoth. Massive team fights, and we are starting to see the beginnings of the working of their composition, namely how difficult it is to stop the Samira from spinning, right? From getting that ultimate, from getting that S rank. There's a bunch of tanks to hit, and then it's an easy spin to win for their composition. Peace, you do have to say, choosing to fight that one, was it necessary, right? You're probably happy to give away that Rift Herald. You have such an easy farm advantage. You're starting to build up item advantages. We'll see this fight mid one more time. You know that the Aphelios does not have flash. The Lulu ultimate gets used here at the very beginning of this fight as well, and it's just as simple as stacking up that S, looking for the follow-through onto Beats, who really was just there to try and protect the mistakes that you see out of the rookie or second split now player on Peace.
That's what you want if you want to try and keep this game competitive, as the gold lead was starting to creep out of control. It's going to be sitting tight at just under 6,000 at the 18-minute mark. You are starting to get rather concerned at some of the bounties being achieved by the top side of Peace's composition. Yes, you could talk about the bounty being picked up from the objective of their Herald acquisition. Can they get some good value out of this? Are they going to look to try and drop it mid? and break a turret, which is still very healthy if you can quickly tap check on that one. But now you're going to be concerned that this Gangplank is farming up an absolute storm, and maybe this Chem Tank has missed the mark.
I mean, we're 18 minutes in and the first mythic has been completed for this Akali, so yes, you would absolutely say is well and truly behind the mark, has 99 CS at 18 minutes. There's not much more to say about that one. Compared to your opponent, we've almost got a 20-minute flame horizon. It's rough, and it only gets worse because a Gangplank with this lead is already level 13, is so accelerated, and those kegs are going to be devastating to anyone that they collect. Peace, grouped up as 5, into a team fight composition, have definitely got enough strength to be able to win that 5v5, depending on the engage of Mammoth. And that's not the way to start it.
Certainly not when that is the key carry. If anything, right now that is leading the line for Mammoth as having the most golds. Touched on it already there, Rusty, about the lack of CC that could try and threaten and interrupt that Inferno trigger. If the Samira can't get fed enough, could be a 1v5.
Could be, but the ultimate crowd control of death is still looming over Voice's head, and there is so much damage on the other side that's hard to do.
Herald summoned, Aftershock, Pop, Rocco in trouble, forced to flash away, won't change the tune, falls on down all the same. There's the Cataclysm. Here comes the hero's entrance, one flashes out, but Cheon comes crashing down. 2 kills found from both the carries here of Mammoth. That's what they so desperately needed. A double kill for Lisa, turning this one around, flashing forward and pouncing with the swipe, turning around with the spear. He'll be happy with the triple because they found an ace.
And it's just easy as that for Peace, right? They've got a 5-0-6 jungler, 3-0-4 top lane, and are able to just tear their way through the team fight. They still lose their bottom lane. You still saw some resets from Voice, and overall you could say there was a moment, right? A glimmer of hope for Mammoth in that team fight. But they were so far behind before the fight started that realistically there wasn't going to be too much of a chance if the engage of this fight isn't perfect. You'll see it now. Renekton's able to go in on his own terms. Lisa goes in. And the Jarvan ultimate followed by the Galio combo was, what, 5 seconds into the damage being dealt in the fight? And that's 5 seconds of damage that Peace will be doing more of. So basically the fight was kind of conceded at that moment. Though the Samira did get those resets, Kimmy, though there was still a moment of hope.
So we had to get excited for that champion. Certainly can accelerate, but as you saw, Peace is a little bit more cool and calm under the pressure of what that fight offered. They knew that Mammoth had that Herald. They wanted to summon it mid, a classic play to try and assert control as to, are you going to go for the Rivet? Are you going for the Drake? Are you going to try and defend this turret? Because we could just push this instead. Instead, they go for the 50-50 and pick up mere scraps in a game where they want more than that.
Yeah, and unfortunately now, right, we're looking at an 8,000 gold odd deficit, set to accelerate even further. You've got Soul Point on an Infernal Soul for Peace. So Mammoth have been put on a clock with really no way out of that situation. They have to fight their way through it, and they are so far behind in items that to fight is difficult and requires near perfect execution or mistakes from Peace's side. And not to say that Peace have been perfect either so far, Skimmy. There's definitely still been some positional errors, some mistakes overall. But you would say 21 minutes into this one, they are looking like the better side.
A lot of confidence in Lisa's performance just then. He's had this stopwatch for a hot minute, didn't feel threatened to use it. No real pressure to try and upgrade that to Zhonya's anytime soon. You can see that Refury has a stopwatch of his own now, and that's going to be absolutely critical because that Baron is now spawned. It's going to be an idea of hot contention. Look at the minimap for a second, and look how many controls, especially from Mammoth, envelop the area.
Yeah, the interesting point here, though, is do Peace ever need to fight for the Baron when they've got a soul to threaten in 3 minutes, right? Why not just comfortably farm? See if you can catch Mammoth making mistakes, right? Clearing vision a little bit too far forward, perhaps out alone, and just kind of play them for the full, run them around, and don't let Mammoth do anything for 3 minutes. Suddenly you've got a free dragon to threaten.
Certainly teasing, knocking on Fate's door, saying hello, keep your interested. Out comes the Cannon Barrage. He's winning bot lane, and he's coming up to try and assist them in the mid lane too. Another turret falls on down. Tron the Pom doesn't want to burn that TP to join this fight. It's nothing to really commit to.
Nice threat in there, though. Big move from TN, primarily. I think right now top lane is proving to be too much of a difference. If Tron can't actually keep TN in lane, then there's really no hope for keeping this Gangplank down. And you could see right there, he just taps the wave. World's his oyster. Where do you want to go, TN? Is it one more wave before? It probably is. What's Tron going to do when he sees the Gangplank? He's scared. That's it. That's the whole game state. Now you've got a Gangplank that's free to move. Mammoth are losing in this situation.
Oh, there was a flame horizon for literally 2 seconds there, Rusty. I saw it. Chat saw it. Yeah, he pulls the VOD.
He's too busy being a team player, Skimmy. We should let him know.
And this is pretty much going back to your point, the terrifying thing, because Mammoth want that fight. They want to entertain the idea of Peace going for it rather than just playing patiently, waiting 90 seconds to get their soul point. And Infernal as if they needed more damage, but they've got that split push pressure. So it's a case of, I can roam up, I've still got TP. The ultimate's going to be back and available in another 30 seconds. Some flashes surely have to be burnt here by Mammoth to try and get that fight with that pick.
Yeah, it makes Jarvan's job a little bit harder, right, in the first place, to combo that with a Galio. If you can't find picks, if you can't force summoner spells, I mean, that was a potential hook angle.
Yeah.
Just goes to waste. Peace are able to walk that one out. The moment is now. The moment has to happen soon.
Looking for it, Lisa has a blue buff. Just going to chuck out one spear. Going to connect on towards Rocco. Sniper won't land, nor will the dredge line, as Peace will reign supreme for the meantime in this mid lane, biding their time. Baron's still not that much of an interest for them. 40 seconds now for the Infernal Soul, and that's a TP coming in here from Tien.
And I do think in this situation, if you were Rocco, it is worth flashing to hook Chaeyon, right?
Yeah.
Try and get the flash out in response.
Here it
They're
is.
going.
Say the words, and out comes the hook. Looking for that kill. Can they try and find it instantly? Wild Growth goes on towards Chaeyon. He's burned that Gale Force nice and early. Burnt flash in here. Can he find a kill? He's found one. He's found a two. He's taken out Jarvan. Mayfan now down for 40 seconds. Appy on the score sheet as well, removing the real source of hope in Voice. Samir is dead and gone. A double kill for Appy. The Renekton unleashed much like that teleport. And now Fury with his Zonias. Can he get a consolation prize? He can't. It's an ace.
Now just cops the spear instead, so it is just going to be an ace for Peace. Not perfectly clean, but that's all they need, right? You'll be able to go over to the Infernal, grab the soul, and it looks like they're going to do Baron at the exact same time. So the resource allocation here from Peace, exactly what they needed. And the team fight plays out almost in the exact way that we suspected, Skimmy, in that there was summoner spells still there from Peace, and that a Jarvan and Galio combo can't hit if they're able to simply use that summoner to get themselves out. We'll see the fight one more time because the Nautilus ults Chaeyon, you've got the Jarvan, you've got the Galio, and now there's a Philios completely untouched, right? Massive combo. I think that was a keg in the middle as well, amidst all the clutter that almost killed literally everyone. Really hard to see with everyone there though. And it definitely looked like a Renekton Cube, but there's no way Appy does that much damage. And from that point, right, you hit one keg at this point with a 100 CS lead on a Gangplank, fight's over.
The saddest part for me is at the very beginning of that clip, right? The fact that the J4 Galio combo is just flashed out of. And they're basically in the middle of chaos. And as you saw, the cannon barrage was there, but it was slightly off-center. It was that keg from the GP that pretty much ripped everybody apart. A dream situation, really, for Tien.
Really was just best case scenarios. And the thing is, right, we spoke about this prior, you have to blow those summoner spells. The risk with picking Jarvan, and this is a point that goes all the way back to draft, is frankly, if you're going to pick Jarvan, you want your opponents to have no mobility. And that is something that is provided with a Philios without the Thresh. But if you don't get his flash, then you're never going to hit the combo that your team is built to have. It's just quite simply not a Camille, right? So if there was one thing you would say to fix this comp, Skimmy, that Akali being a Camille would make sure that Chaeyon dies. but it's just not going to do enough in this game with the Akali that's so far behind.
Yeah, and we have seen what composition offers, or I should say the Akali in particular. If you're left out the loop, the fact that it does charge up so quickly, it offers Akali wave clear, which he's struggling to try and find, gives it a tankiness whilst also having the damage, right? You know, the Demonic's Embrace, the passive to convert health into ability power, combine it with a Shadow Flame, pretty much anything after the fact. And, you're one-shotting and some.
Yeah, Demonic Embrace, things like that, right? It's basically you have a lot of health, you have a single real tank mythic, and then you're still wave clearing while still threatening carries. Because at the end of the day, you'll do more damage than a carry does to you in a 1v1 situation. But for Mammoth, because they've built that teamfight composition, the Akali's role is to find the backline, and simple summoner spells have prevented that one from happening. Alongside, of course, Beats playing the Lulu. We can't forget what the Lulu is going to provide to them for sustainability, for survivability, and the Enchanter meta is fun, isn't it?
It is. Maybe for a player like myself that has no hands and is relegated to ARAM life, then Enchanters are happy days. Do need to have a fair few mechanics, both in the physical and mental world. Not sure where I'm going with this one in terms of if you're playing the likes of a Leona and Nautilus. You know, you've got to step up, you've got to staunch up.
True. You need killer instinct.
Maybe it's an int angle, or perhaps it's a World Championship winning angle. You never know.
Depends which region you're looking at, I think. There's certain regions, not to name names, but the entirety of the LPL are very good at using int angles to find actual angles.
Yep. Here we go, though. We're back into the game. That's a bit of a preview for just a brief glimpse moment of what damage did look like in that previous team fight. But there you have it, returning to live. And as you can see, Peace with all the marbles, 10k soon to be, or now is, in fact, 11k gold in their stead. Have the Infernal Soul.
And the impossible question at this point, Skimmy, is how did Mammoth bring this one back? You've gone for the Collector here on Voice's side as well, so he's not going to have any kind of Last Whisper shred against any armor. Now, I will say there is limited armor on Peace's side, but that means that Appy is almost indomitable. He is going to be a ridiculously large croc that no one else on the side of Mammoth will be hitting.
Hang on a minute. Lisa in no man's land.
Okay, Lisa.
It's Duke the Observers, and now Mammoth really in with the prophet we foretold, a Baron flip.
Yeah, and might get the burger flip. Teleports coming in. This is a hook angle.
It's a 4v5 about a jungler. Appy just comes in and explodes onto the map. Mayfart in trouble, gonna fall on down. 3 kills as quick as they come. You might have a numbers advantage, but you don't have the execution to put it off.
Yeah, you don't have a gangplank with a million items, you don't have Child free hitting, and you also didn't have the Galio ultimate. I believe that has only just come off cooldown right now. So when Mayfun goes in with the Jarvan engage, there's no follow-up. No flash, no issues for the side of Peace.
Certainly is to be the case. 27 minutes, and that's lights out here for Mammoth. A new roster, a new idea, but it is all things Peace. They run it back from 2021 to 2022 and kickstart the LCO with a victory. Certainly was a good victory. You can see him very excited there, pogging off in the player cam. But it's all about this man here, Appy. He's made the role swap. He's here to shine, as well as Cheon. Give it a chance to showcase what he can do when in the main starting roster. But I'm getting so excited about Tien. The fact that he was able to come into this matchup, play a champion not every top laner is comfortable with, assert dominance very early, clear game plan in mind. I will always be proactive. You will always be following me around to a point where you're so far beyond any saving, there's no chance to come back in this game.
Yeah, and if I was to summarize this game, really simply, it was just genuinely an outclassing by Peace, right? They proved that they are still a very high caliber of team. They had good map movements. The 8-minute flip just kind of left Mammoth reeling. From that point onwards, it was just too hard for them to catch up.
But it was too hard for them to catch up. I'm keen to see what Mac thought about catching himself up on that game. If he had any bright ideas as to, you know, this is what the new season could actually look like.
Yeah, look, there was some crazy things that went on that game, and I was so... It was just entertaining. There was, like, that first moment where I was like, oh, Mammoth, they're going to do it. They went for that, like, 6-minute engage or 8-minute engage, and it just got completely turned around because they overstayed for a little bit, tried to really push the point, and then Peace, you know, they've got the experience. They're like, well, we'll just walk down, and got themselves like a double kill or something like that. And from there, it was kind of downhill because Peace know exactly what to do to stay in the lead. There are a few times where there was moments of brilliance, and I think that game in particular for Mammoth is going to be great reference material going on to the next couple of days, next couple of weeks here in the LCO, because there were some moments that I thought, oh, okay, this is good. Issues were there, you know, like positioning, certain people going in first and then getting completely dumpstered by some counter abilities. So it got messy, it got very messy, but I thought it was a pretty good showing for Mammoth for their first game together in the LCO, Rusty.
Yeah, I mean, again, keep in mind their development, right? Like, this is the first time we have seen these players, the first time they have all been in the LCO. We didn't expect them to beat Peace. I don't think anyone did. I think it was 90% in the Twitch polls as well. So very Peace favored, and there was still takeaways for Mammoth, which is what you want, right? How are you going to develop if you don't get experience, you don't find those reasons? I mean, Voice had good positioning. They still hit their team fight combos. I don't know if it's a first pick Akali angle in future with how well Peace played against it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was It was good. There was a lot that was going on, and I actually really loved him in the player cams. The amount of times, like even just mid fight, I was looking at his player cam and he's just looking directly into the camera. I'm like, bro, you're in a fight. What are you doing? It was nuts. Anyway, there was that attempt at the Baron flip right towards the end, and it could have gone their way, but then, you know, Appy came in and literally just exploded on the whole team, and that team fight got turned around by the 12k gold gap that was there going into the final push. So pretty crazy. Now there's a lot of stats here, and we didn't get the Chemtech Soul, which we're all sort of waiting for. It was just the Infernal Soul. So anything else you want to touch on here, looking at these stats, Rusty?
I mean, it was almost even damage across the board by Peace, which is not something you're often used to seeing. So definitely a team effort. Definitely worth commending. Beats definitely needs to pick up his game if he's going to keep up with the rest of the squad getting away from him. But no, I think that's actually the biggest thing, right? It was a team win. Peace were the better team.
Look, I wouldn't say that was as short as a lot of people were predicting. I heard predictions for sub 20-minute game going into this one. So I feel like Mammoth did a really good job to drag it out for as long as possible. You know, they won. They did some damage in those team fights. It just didn't really go their way. First ace of the LCO, by the way, 19 minutes and like 37 seconds around there. So that's going to be the time to beat. We'll see if there's any crazy team fights. We have one more person to hear the thoughts of. That's Kitty. So let's bring Kitty back into the conversation and tell me, what did you think of that game, Kitty?
That game, I expected it to be shorter, but they did have a few throws and still a Peace win, so hooray.
Yeah, so Kitty's pretty pumped about that one. Now we do have a winner's interview. Who do you have down on the sidelines?
I have Lisa on the sidelines. Let's go. Hello, Lisa.
Hello.
Congrats on the win of the first split in 2022. So how did draft go? Did you guys predict the draft? Did you guys get the champions that you wanted?
Nah, we had no idea Mammoth was gonna do this thing to our ADC. They're going for full dive comp, and we would not expect it.
I mean, Cheon held on, so it's fine.
Yeah.
So this roster that you're running in 2022 is 3 Chinese people. Does that affect comms?
Not really. Me and RP has been like playing Oceania for like three years now. So we have like fluent English, and Cheon speaks English pretty well too. So comms is really good. That's no problem.
So you guys do comms in English?
Yeah, we come in
Most
English.
of the time, I'm assuming? No Chinese? Ah.
But when
That's
game
okay.
we were hype, we could speak some Chinese.
Oh. Well, that's all the time we have now. Let's head back to Mac, and thank you for the interview.
Thank you.
Good to hear from Lisa. So they're pretty happy with that. As you could tell, they didn't get the ADCs that they wanted, and Mammoth really managed to target what they needed to in the pick and ban, but it still didn't translate to a win for Mammoth. So Peace getting that dub across the line nice and early, Rusty.
Yeah, I also think it's more of a rite of passage for an AD carry, isn't it? Your opponents pick Jarvan, Galio, Samira, they're diving you. You're a new player coming in, right? You just have to hold on for dear life, and I think Cheon did the best that he could under that much pressure.
And look, we do have a player of the game as well. Not a player of the game, but a player of the game. And look, what a way to bring him back. Tien has come in and taken out the player of the game. 4-1 and 10, doing a whole lot of work there in the top lane. Getting the Flame Horizon at like the 17-minute mark or something like that. Complete ridiculousness. And they just managed to keep Tenkali out of the game, Skimmy.
Yeah, it's just crazy, right? The fact that you're thinking you've got those rejuve beats to try and weather the storm. You've seen some of the oppressive matchups that you can actually beat as a result of that whole build. Tien was having none of it. Basically said, welcome to the LCO. This is the level up that you're going to have to start to, get used to. And showcase that, hey, look, I can play the tanks. I was raised under that philosophy, but I love to play the carries, and GP is certainly one of them, which if you can punish, if you can get ahead early, I mean, it writes itself come late.
Yeah, the thing that stood out to me the most was the fact that they were going for those early lane swaps just to get the prio and have more members up towards the Herald as soon as it was spawning. So you can see Peace there really bringing their A game into split 1 of 2022. And look, I heard that we do have some content from the fans. So let's see if the fans are bringing their A game into 2022. What do we have? It is Cosmic Arepas.
There we go.
I didn't know if that was 3 words. I just had to quickly look at it. But there you go. So Cosmic is watching from home and just chilling in a cool-looking room with some blue lights in the background, which I guess are almost LCO colors. So maybe if you just change the saturation, change that hue a little bit to be a little bit more light blue than we are on there. Also, Pentanet jersey.
Yes.
So really repping some swags.
Yeah, looking the goods, right? You know, they certainly got a whole bunch of fans internationally when they went overseas. So the shirts went out. I believe we all got them last year as well, which is quite exciting. So, yeah, it's good to see.
Very, very cool. Now, if you guys want to send your stuff in, make sure you're following the LCO Twitter, at LCO on Twitter, to keep up to date with all of the goods, the match updates, content updates. I'm sure if you post good enough content, LCO is probably going to retweet it as well. I've seen that happen already a few times, so make sure you head over to Twitter, follow LCO, keep up to date with all the goodness. So thank you for doing that. And if you haven't already done that, well, I don't like you, and you should do it, and then I might like you better. Now, we do have more LCO action to jump to, so we've got to go to a break to get there, but we do have a second game on the menu, and that game, of course, is going to be Direwolves going up against Gravitas, coming up just after this.
Moving over Voice's head, and there is so much damage on the other side that it's hard to do.
Errol summoned aftershock, Pod Rocker in trouble, forced to flash away, won't change the tune, falls on down all the same. There's the Cataclysm. Here comes the hero's entrance, one flashes out, but Cheon comes crashing down. 2 kills found from both the carry CEO of Mammoth. That's what they so desperately needed. A double kill for Lisa, turning this one around, flashing forward and pouncing with a swipe, turning around with a spear.
Burger flip teleports coming in. This is a hook angle.
It's a 4v5 without a jungler. Appy just comes in and explodes onto the map. Mayfard in trouble, gonna fall on down. 3 kills as quick.